Hey everybody, so today's video I'm going to be talking about how to get inspired. If you don't know me or if you're new to me, my name is Jeneé. I'm a financial consultant and I help young professionals and leaders in ministry who want to learn more about how to invest. So if you want to learn more about me, my story, or how I do that, you can go to jeneem.com. That's JENEEM.com. So again, today's video is about how to get inspired. This is something that I have done all throughout my life, really. And when I was in prayer this morning, the Lord gave me a specific example of how to apply this particular strategy. For a question that I had asked him. So one of the things that I do in order to get inspired is I watch movies. So all throughout my life, especially as a child, I would watch a movie and then I would want to act it out right after it. But what it allowed me to do was it fed my imagination. So growing up as a child, there wasn't a lot that I didn't think was possible because watching movies and different TV shows showed me that what we may think is impossible, once you see it in real life, even though it's on a TV screen, to me, it feels very real. And so I've always watched movies and TV shows and gotten inspiration from that. And so I had a question that I had asked God during praying this morning, and he pointed me to a specific movie that I had already watched before, but I decided that I'll watch it again to get fresh revelation. And I got like 3.5 pages worth of notes just from watching one movie. And so I'll link the movie in the description, and I'll go through and just point out like all the revelations that I got from it. And so if you watch the movie, you'll see exactly what it is I'm talking about, or you can wait to look for it as I talk about it, so it'll make more sense to you. So the movie that I watched was called Leap, and it's about two orphans that escaped from an orphanage, and they both had dreams of what they wanted to do and accomplish. One of the orphans wanted to be a ballerina, and that was the main character in the story. Her name was Felicie, and then her friend, who was also an orphan, he wanted to be an inventor. His name was Victor. And so both of them escaped from the orphanage that they lived at, and they went to Paris to go pursue their dreams. Because I don't want to give away the whole movie, but the basis of it is that in the beginning, Victor was able to get a picture of a famous ballet school. And so he showed it to Felicie. She got inspired, and they ended up escaping from the orphanage to go to Paris. And that's where this whole story happens. And he decided that while they were there in Paris, he would also be pursuing his dream of becoming an inventor. So these are all the revelations that I got from the movie, and I just wanted to share it because it's like I do need to go through it and really digest it and allow it to work for me, but I believe that it can work for you too, and that you can gain something from it. So the first note that I wrote was that Felicie didn't know about the ballet school until Victor told her, but she was sold after she found out because she knew that that's what she had wanted. So she knew that she wanted to be a ballerina. She knew that she wanted to be a dancer. She didn't know the ballet school that existed until Victor showed her the picture of it. But once she saw it, she knew that that was exactly what she wanted because she wanted to be a dancer. So the picture just confirmed it, but she already knew that she was supposed to be a dancer. The second thing was that Victor was so confident in his plan A that he didn't need a plan B. So one of the things that I remember even my pastor talking about was how there are people in ministry who they start a ministry in one place and it may not be successful, but when they move, the ministry just takes off. Well, one of the reasons for that is the fact that when you do move, you literally have everything on the line. And so the energy is different, the dedication is different, the focus is different because you don't have a lot of comfort around you. So because of that, it really forces you to make it work and make it work the first time and be so focused on whatever plan it is that you're currently working on that you don't have time for a backup plan. And so you're literally putting all your energy and all your effort into making your first plan work. So that was the second thing. Be confident in your plan A so that way you don't need a plan B. The next thing was you have to be willing to leave where you are to go where you desire to go. So again, they escaped from the orphanage and they went to Paris, France to pursue their dreams. And so in order to pursue their dreams, they had to leave the place of familiarity and comfort where they were in order to get to the place where they wanted to pursue their dreams. So like for me, I know that, my goal is to transition to Texas 2 or so years from now. And so that will require me leaving the place that I am, the place where I've been for the last 12 years, and go to a completely new place. And so for you, whatever your dream or vision is, there's a certain place that you can go to flourish. And so it will require you to leave where you are to go there, even if it's like abandoning old mindsets and places where you live mentally and going to a new place mentally so that way you can literally level up and perform at the level that you need to in order to be successful. You need to leave where you are to go to the place where you desire to go, whether it's mentally or physically. The next thing was once Felicie got to Paris, she doubted whether or not she was supposed to be there, and she started bringing up reasons why she shouldn't. But once she got to the ballet school and actually found it, she immediately got inspired. So to me, I took this as when you actually get to the place where you desire to be, you will doubt whether you're supposed to be there. You will question yourself and tell yourself why you shouldn't be there, or ask yourself why you shouldn't be there. But immediately when you come into contact with the reason why you came there in the first place, it'll just confirm that you were meant to be there all along, or at least give you inspiration long enough to forget about the questions that you started asking yourself. Another thing was that Felicie was willing to ask questions and not take no for an answer. And so, going through the process of, pursuing whatever it is you want to do, you have to be willing to ask questions, even if the person does not want to answer your questions, and even if you initially get a no. There are several stories that I can think of where people have tried to pursue different business ventures or tried to do different things in life, and they kept facing rejection after rejection after rejection, but it did not stop them because they were persistent, and eventually they got to the yes. So that's something mentally that you have to keep in mind. So that way, when you go through the process, if you do get faced with a no, you know that that's to be expected. Another thing was that Felicie loved dancing before coming to the school. So whatever your dream is, or whatever that dream place is, you should already have a love for where you're going before you even get there. And so going there is not where you develop passion or love because for what you're doing, but you do that beforehand. So that way, when you get there, it's just confirmation versus you having to start all over. And I hope that makes sense. But like for me, I fell in love with Texas the first time I visited there. I went there for Woman Thou Art Loose. It was during Mega Fest, and I enjoyed it. It was amazing. God just began to download inspiration and vision that I've never experienced before. And I was in a point in my life where I was doing a lot of soul searching. And so it just was an amazing experience. And so I developed a deep love for Texas back in 2013. And even now in 2018, it's still stuck with me. So once I get to Texas, it won't be me developing a love for the city. Once I get there, the love towards the city has developed even before me moving. Another thing was that even though her teacher thought that she didn't belong, she was willing to prove she belonged, but she did it for her and not for him. A lot of times we can try to prove things to people, but at the end of the day, all that really matters is what we think and what we believe about ourselves. In fact, research even shows that people believe what they say about themselves more than what other people say about them. So if you find yourself in a position where you are basically having haters that are trying to say that you're not fit for this, you can't do this, again, knowing that that's to be expected, but at the end of the day, whatever hard work and effort that you put in, it should not be for the purpose of proving people wrong, because that's the wrong motivation. You can use it as fuel, but at the end of the day, you want to do it for yourself. Because if you're always working for the approval of people, you'll never be satisfied, you'll never be content and have peace, because people will flip on you in a hot minute. The next thing was that determination and opportunity got her to the school, but perseverance kept her there through hard work and dedication. Determination, again, leaving the orphanage and escaping from the orphanage, and opportunity. If you watch the movie, you'll see how opportunity came up for her to get to the school. But it was perseverance that kept her there because of her hard work and determination. Even though she loved to dance, she lacked training. And so once she was able to find herself a mentor, she worked hard by training every day and being dedicated to earn her spot there at the ballet school. Another thing was that she had to train doing the stuff that wasn't popular, so she could master the fundamentals. She had to train every day doing the stuff that wasn't popular so she could master the fundamentals. When she first discovered her mentor, the first thing that she wanted to do was learn new dance moves. But her mentor was a dancer, and she knew that there were some things that she had to master first in order to make her a great dancer. So whatever it is you're striving to do, you have to master the basics first. Like with finances, if you want to be somebody who is, investing at a level that's consistent and you're growing your portfolio, in order to be successful with investing and building wealth, you have to be able to master the basics of managing your money. So can you maintain a budget? Can you save on a regular basis? Are you working towards paying down your debt? Because all of those things work together. Another thing was that she needed to see it done before she was able to master it. So it was a certain exercise that she had to do in order for her to be light on her feet. And she was struggling to do it. It was really hard. But when she saw a feather literally drop to the ground and saw how light that it fell on the ground, she was able to draw inspiration from that, so that way she could do the same thing. So whatever it is that you're desiring to do, seeing it done by somebody else, and understanding how they did it will help you as well. And so I have mentors that have basically killed and crushed it in the online space. And so I've learned from each of their stories and each of their journeys what worked for them, and extracted lessons from that to apply it to my own journey, realizing that the same path is not necessarily the same for everyone else, but there are certain principles and fundamentals that I drew from each of my mentors to help me in my online business. The next thing is that you have to get it in you so strong that you can do it in your sleep. So again, Felicia was training every day to be a ballerina and to be a great dancer. And so one day she fell asleep, after a long day of training, and she immediately woke up and she started going into her different ballet positions. And that's because it was so repetitive, it was second nature. And so when you're striving to do something, you need to be doing it over and over and over and over again in order for you to really master it. Another thing was that you have to pass tests daily. Felicia trained every day to be a great dancer and to be the ballerina that she desired to be. And so every day she had to train early in the morning in order to get her body conditioned to be successful. This was a quote from the movie. There's a difference between doing something and doing it well. And so that's what really sets people apart, is those who are doing it on an average or mediocre level, and those who are really pursuing excellence in the thing that they do. And so it's important that you are striving to do things well, or at least to the best of your ability, and always working and striving to get better over time. So this was funny. And so ladies, this is particularly for you. One of the things that I picked up was to pay attention to a man that helps bring out happiness in you, and not necessarily because of him. So it's not necessarily the man that makes you happy, but if he pays attention to the things that make you happy, and by exposing you to those things, you're able to enjoy yourself and have a good time. It matters having someone by your side that pays attention to those things for you. See, the next thing was, despite your competition's training and technique, you have to identify their weakness and what they're missing that sets yourself apart. So between Felicia and her main competitor, which was Camille Leo, which was a girl who already lived there in Paris, and she trained her entire life, and like her mom worked her like a freaking robot. And she was just so I appreciate that. And this is all from Disney. And this is a girl who, her mom made her work out, her mom made her dance every day, and drilled into her mind that she needed to be successful and go all the way. But even though she trained her like a robot, the one thing that she lacked that Felicia had was passion. And she had passion because, again, growing up, she loved to dance. She didn't have anybody there to coach her or to tell her what to do. This is all of what came out of her spirit, because even though she was an orphan, one of the biggest memories that she had was with her mom, and she had this music box that she would carry around with her, and the music box was actually of a ballerina. And so that's what inspired her to dance, and that energy and that passion would come out when she danced, versus her competitor just knew how to do a routine and perform a routine, but lacked passion because it was her mother making her do it, not because it's what she wanted to do. The next thing was you have to know who you are. There were a few times where, her competitor, Camille, was like, you're nothing, you're nobody. And she did not have a response for her at first, and it made her cry. But then the first time she had to have somebody come into her life and tell her, that's not true. And then the second time, after she done had a few run-ins with Camille, she learned exactly how to respond to her versus shrinking and feeling sorry for herself. This is a good one. Again, ladies, steer clear of flattery, especially when it interferes with your training schedule. So in the movie, Felicia went out with her friend Victor, and they was able to have fun, but she was able to get home at a time where she was able to get rest so she could be on time for her audition the next day. But when she went out with another guy who had literally swept her off her feet, his name was Rudy, he was the blonde-haired guy in the movie, he took her away from what she was supposed to be doing, which was training and then resting before her big debut. And that was actually like the main audition of all auditions to get her the main spot in the Nutcracker. And come to find out, he wasn't even a good fit for her. So she had to learn that, but she was only able to learn that by going through this process. But if you are pursuing something and you're focused and you're disciplined and you have a schedule and you find somebody that catches your eye and tells you all the right things, but tries to take you off of your schedule, not necessarily purposefully or on purpose, but because they're so like in the clouds and they're not really stable, they're just kind of like, they may be a beast in what they do too, but if they're interrupting you and knocking you off your game or taking you away from what you should be doing while they're still on top, that should raise a flag. The next thing is you won't make it just because you want it. Like at the end of that audition, because Felicia went with this guy, she was late to her audition the next day. And so she fell flat on her face. Even after she got a second try, she fell flat on her face. And so she did not win the competition at all. And so just because she wanted it, even after going through all of that, escaping the orphanage, going through all of that training each and every day, she did not make it. She didn't make it. And the next thing was, even when your competition comes for you and knocks you down, you have to get back up. So even though she didn't make it past the main audition, when her competitor challenged her after the competition was already over for who was winning the spot of the Nutcracker, they ended up having a dance-off. And during the dance-off, Camille got so mad that she pushed Felicia down on the floor. Well, Felicia could have stayed down on the floor, but instead she decided to get back up. She decided to get back up and to keep dancing. And it was really cool what she did. And I'll say that when you watch the movie. Another quote from the movie was, if you never leap, you'll never learn how to fly. And you'll understand more about what that means when you actually watch the movie. Another thing was, know why you love to do what you do. This was a question that was asked to both Felicia and Camille. Why do you love to dance? So whatever it is that you desire to do, why do you love to do that? Why do you want to do that? I know that when it comes to finances, one of the reasons why I want to do that is because I was used to living a certain lifestyle as a child, only to have that taken away from me. And so I wanted to recreate the life that I experienced during childhood, because it was literally just snatched what felt like overnight. And so that's why I worked so hard to try and rebuild the legacy and wealth of my family that we had, because it was the life that I believed that I was supposed to live and that was promised to me, even though my dad wasn't able to maintain it all. And then the last thing was, you need to escape death. So Camille's mom, and this was Felicity's competitor, she was vicious. I mean, vicious. She was so mean. She was so evil to her daughter and like working her like a robot. And even after, because initially Camille had won the audition, but even after the dance-off happened and Felicity was able to win the spot in the Nutcracker, the mom tried to kill Felicity. Like literally, the mom tried to kill her. And even all throughout the movie, she was doing a lot of mean things. You'll have to watch it to see specifically what happened. But the mom was evil to the point of even trying to kill her so that way her daughter could be number one. Because I guess she looked at her daughter as her meal ticket. And so, you know, as a believer, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers. And so there are invisible forces that don't want us to win. And so you are going to experience that. And you have to be willing when those things try to rise up against you and to try to break you down and literally bring you to the point where it feels like, you know, hell on earth, or you're experiencing death on earth, whether it's, you know, your flesh or just mentally just feeling to a point of feeling burdened. Like you have to be willing to persevere and endure through those moments, knowing that it's only temporary in order for you to make it through to the other side. It is not unavoidable. Like you have to go through it. Like I went through 6 months of pure hell earlier this year. And no matter how much I tried to pray my way out of it, like God was able to give me peace through it, but it was not comfortable. And there was no way around it. There was no way around it, because what we don't realize is that through those moments and through those challenges, I developed a level of strength that I never knew I had, a level of endurance I never knew I had, a level of perseverance that I never knew I had. And just my mindset is different. Like I know what I'm capable of, and so I'm able to take on more. It expanded my capacity, and it just made me more determined. And so that never would have happened had I not endured through that hard season. Even the Bible says endure hardness as a good soldier. And so the light afflictions are not worthy to be compared to the glory that's going to be revealed in us. So you have to be willing to escape what may feel like death, or what may be close to the point of death. So these are all, like literally, it was a lot. That was about 3.5 pages worth of revelation that I got from this one movie. Again, the movie is called Leap. I believe it's a Disney movie, but I will be linking the video down below. And so if you enjoyed this, please share it. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe so that way you get an alert and notification the next time I post a video. So again, if you want to connect with me, you can just go to jeneem.com, JENEEM.com. And if you are on Facebook or Instagram, make sure we're connected there so that way you don't miss the next live video. So thank you all for tuning in. And for those of you who caught the replay, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.